Tim, Tom, thanks for hopping on. We've got another case study here. So I am going to do a lot of talking again up front and spell it out for you guys, and then we can discuss, our thoughts on this person's situation. This situation, the person owns two houses, primary residence and then a rental property. So they have $125,000 worth of equity in the rental property. It is valued at $310,000. They currently have renters in there that pay $2,500 a month, and that covers the mortgage payment and the homeowner's fees associated with the property. But they are not making any money on the property. So it's rented now, but when it's not rented, they have to dip into savings to cover the costs. Outside of the rental property, this person makes $90,000 of gross income per year, and they're living month to month. Their expenses are about $5,000 per month. They have $200,000 in retirement savings in a 401k. I believe they're 59 years old. And this person projects to receive $3,100 a month in Social Security at full retirement age. His wife gets 50% of that, so you're at about $4,650 of retirement income when that time comes. And they have $50,000 of credit card debt. So what jumps off the page at you guys here?
The first thing that jumps off the page for me is when someone says that they have $125,000 in equity and that the value of the property is $310,000. According to who? These are squishy numbers and not to be believed. Really, the only way you can tell what something is worth is when you get an offer in hand to buy an asset from you. That's the only time you're really going to know for sure what the value of something actually is. It really comes down to what someone will pay for it. It doesn't matter if we're talking about individual bonds or if we're talking about real estate or, raw land. It really comes down to what kind of offer do you have in hand? Otherwise, we're all just speculating about what the value is. And if you have to guess on what the value is, then you're only guessing on what the equity is.
So. Yeah, guessing, maybe there's some sort of online estimator, Zillow, all these different real estate sites give you your projected value there. Maybe there was an appraisal done. We're not sure how this person's valuing their rental property, but you're right in the sense that you don't know until you get an offer on that. One of the benefits and also one of the downsides is, you're not watching the value of your house increase or decrease every day like you do in the markets. But then when it comes time to sell it, you're not exactly sure how to value that because of, that price discovery function isn't there like it is for, stocks or ETFs or.
I think one of the things for me, going back to this situation that jumps off the page, is the fact that they're, when they're not renting the place, they're dipping into their own savings to cover the costs. Especially if they're thinking about retiring at some point, having to do something like that in retirement makes it even worse because then you're dipping into your savings and you're not earning income from your regular job too. So it's kind of a double whammy at that point. It sounds like from a monthly perspective with Social Security, the two sources combined, their income is going to cover a lot of what they have to cover in retirement. But just looking at, going through the process at least of trying to figure out what the value of the house might be, what the rental property might be, then you can really kind of get more firm in terms of the amount of what, if you were to sell the house, what you might be able to then add back into your overall retirement portfolio. Like you were saying, you don't really know what the price is going to be until you list it. But when you list it, you can see if offers are coming in, see if they're lower, see if they're higher. No one's forcing you to sell the house at that point. They could just take that for what it's worth and then have the information to say, is this something we actually want to do? Here's kind of the offers in the ballpark, the ranges of what we were looking to get for the house. But I think, adding a big chunk of money to that retirement balance could benefit them in retirement, especially if, they're having to dip into savings to cover costs in retirement. That doesn't sound like a great idea to me.
I think I'd want to know more about the purpose for owning the rental property. Like, is it just because, you wanted to own property because that's the investment, like the property value will go up over time, like it has, or is it, a lot of the time when you have a rental property, the idea is you're getting passive income. You're getting some, amount of income each month that's coming in. You don't really have to work for it. But in this case, it sounds like they're not earning anything above and beyond the expenses that it's costing them to, finance the house and maintain the property. So I'm not sure the value there. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of value there from an income perspective. So I'd want to understand more about that.
Sometimes for people, we've run into a handful of situations where it's not all just dollars and cents value for people. Like it's a vacation home that they use for 3 weeks out of the year, and then they rent it, but they really enjoy taking those family vacations there. So that, again, we don't have that information. So there could be some sort of emotional tie to this house, but yeah, just from a dollars and cents perspective, if you're hardly breaking even, I would like to know as well, how often is it rented? You said, when they're not renting it, they have to dip into their savings. Is that like 4 weeks out of the year, or is 6 months out of the year it's not rented? How often do they have to do that? Or is it something where it's consistently being, filled with renters 10, 11 months out of the year? Those things I think would factor into the viability of keeping it for the long term or deciding to move on.
So I think, again, we need more information, but you just reminded me, Tim, when you talked about how long is it rented for, they have to be mindful of the Augusta rule, where they have, I think it's a 14-day limit, something like that. So the other part of the question that I think I would follow up on is this, maybe this is a retirement home that you plan to retire to at some point down the road. That's a good point, another too. Reason, this may be why they're keeping it. It seems like a struggle. The other point in the details, we got limited details on this, but they reported $90,000 gross income. And I know both of you, the first thing that we do when we're crunching the numbers is we break that down into a monthly gross number. And then we start looking at, okay, how much tax are they paying on this? And let's try to get to a monthly net number and then apply the expenses that we know about before we can help them make a decision about whether this is something they should keep or something they should hang on to.
Yeah, I think something that's flying under the radar here is the $50K in credit card debt. To me, that suggests that they're probably spending more than they're making. I don't know if that's related to the rental property or not, but one idea is you sell the rental property, you take the net proceeds from that, and pay off credit card debt. Maybe pad the retirement savings, like you said, Tim. I do want to point out that since if they do sell the rental property, it's not their primary residence, so that will
you're gonna have taxes.
They will have the full capital gains tax on there because they won't qualify for the primary residence exclusion. For married couples, that is it $500,000?
Yes, right, $250 per person.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of times it's almost definitely going to be worth it to pay off the credit card debt, because the interest rates you see on a lot of credit cards are most of the time pushing 20% or more. So you'd have to really outperform in the market to, break even on that.
Mm-hmm.
The trap in that is that people are now starting to get these 0% interest offers. And I've been around long enough where people have actually called me over the years ago and said, hey, I can borrow money on my credit card for 6 months or 12 months at 0%. What can we do? And honestly, I want to just hang up when they ask me that.
Yeah, it's and then that gets into some of the behavioral issues of how you got to the credit card balance in the first place. And then if you're paying it off with a lump sum, you're not really addressing the issue. You're kind of just wiping the slate clean, and then the habits that got you into trouble in the first place are still there. But that's a different video. We could do all on that alone.
And $50,000 is not a little amount.
Yeah.
It's for someone who reports a gross income of $90,000, more than half of your income is what you have on a credit card.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's gonna take years to dig out of that. I mean, this person's 59. I think their full retirement age is going to be 67. So outside of taking a lump sum to paying off and using that to pay off the credit card debt, it's going to take maybe until retirement to make these credit card payments, and not adding anything on top of that is going to be difficult in this situation. If they don't sell,
I don't want to. Not saying that the lump sum is a bad idea. Like they should still do that while they have the option to do it. It's just underneath, or after you pay off the lump sum, maybe kind of sit back and reflect on how you got there.
Yeah. I think the Dave Ramsey instant fix answer to this question would be, it's easy, sell the property. Take that $125,000 in equity, get rid of the credit card debt, put some money into an emergency savings account, and for goodness sakes, change your habits, in terms of spending.
Yeah, or find ways to make more money to match it.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are all good ideas. I think this person, they've got a ways to go until retirement, but couple big decisions for them to come up down to make sooner rather than later, hopefully, and not let that credit card debt spiral any further out of control.
Does this person need a financial planner?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think they do. I don't know if they need one. In the way that we work with people is in an ongoing capacity. They might not need somebody in that sense, but I think maybe trying to find an hourly planner, you can run all of this by them and maybe get an hour or two of their time and just to bounce the questions off of. But I think they could definitely benefit. I think it's something that they might be able to figure out on their own. But I don't think it could hurt to get some expertise there, but I don't know if they need to engage in an ongoing relationship with a planner or investment management or anything like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Don't want to layer on any more costs. I think it could, I think the fact that this person, is writing in and asking this question, they probably have some inclinations as to what the answers are to their questions. They just, maybe they just want confirmation that they're thinking along the right lines. I don't know if that's necessarily worth it to pay someone for. I think, I don't want to say it's self-evident or self-explanatory when you're in credit card debt like that. It is hard to dig out, and you might not see paths out of it, but I think the answer is simple. It's not easy. I think the answer is, live below your means and make some cuts or make some more money. Like I said, they're easy. They're simple solutions, but they're not easy to do. So
I'll also say simple for us, because we're on the outside looking in, and this is what we do.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, we just rattled off a number of different considerations that didn't come up in the questions that they were asking. So, there are things that we think of as professionals that they might not even consider that could really impact things. So, could be worth your time.
To be fair, we've had people come in and meet with us who are in situations like this, and they want to know how can they improve the performance of their 401k.
Right. You're asking the wrong questions.
Totally, just not on the same planet.
Yeah.